evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Lee McNeil. I'm your host. I'm joined this week, as I am every week except for last week, by Scott Nagy Nagwell. How are you, Nagy? It's wonderful to have you back. It's beautiful to see you here. You know, obviously you've lost your role in the daddy chair now that obviously I'm here in the daddy chair looking after everyone in the room. And, you know, how does it feel? How does it feel? Switching it, you know, a fresh perspective perhaps, you know, a new light on life.
Wonderful to be with you, firstly, Liam. But, you know, obviously last week I missed out. Nathan, can I just shout a big thanks to Nathan, Mr. Wright himself, for filling in so beautifully for me. But, of course, I can't return to the hosting chair so quickly. I've got to earn my way back in slowly. Yeah. And you did such a good job last week, mate.
And don't worry, Jazz, you will see Nathan Wright again. We will be sure to give him a call next time the Knights lose to the Storm, as seems to be our want and as seems to be the time when we get him on. You know, hopefully it never happens again. I'm not saying, Righty, we don't want you back on the show.
No.
I'd just rather we don't lose to the Storm again.
It doesn't look like we're going to get him back on anytime soon. Not that we don't love you, Righty, but it's because we're just winning, Liam. We're winning so much. Unprecedented amount of winning.
There's never, ever in the history of the Knights been so much winning.
And patchy winning. Like, you know, you'd think last year showed that we could win for long periods of time. And then
then also nothing. And then also long periods of time.
Also not win for long periods of time. That was the roller coaster of last year. But this, you know, we've thrown a draw in there and a loss. And now we're back to winning.
That's one thing I suppose you'd say in the coaching changeover between Nathan Brown and Adam O'Brien. Nathan Brown, it very much, his tenure was that of a roller coaster. You know, we rode the highs, we rode the lows. It was mostly a low roller coaster.
Yes, but with one high.
One high.
Yeah.
And then...
It's like the Superman ride at Movie World. Have you ever been on that one?
No.
It's basically you start off going low, building speed, if you will. And then you get quiet, you go almost vertically up, and then you sort of plateau and hover just for a moment as if you were flying. I think that was the effect that they were after there. And then you descend quickly back to Earth.
Well, that seems to be like
that's
our
Brownie's
six-match winning streak last year. And for the greater part, Brownie's tenure for the 4 years... Mr. Speaker, the 4 years Nathan Brown was in charge. AOB, though, what ride would you compare him to?
Yeah, interesting.
Batman ride at Movie World, got to be.
Yeah, look, but yeah, that was...
You're grounded.
Yes.
You held level. You don't take off. You don't go on any loop-de-loops. You just sit and you're rocked around and you know, things are shaking. But you're certain that Batman will protect you.
Sure.
And that's the feeling I get from Adam O'Brien. So look, Brownie was a roller coaster, albeit one with not much rises. Yeah. AOB is the Batman ride at Movie World.
I would probably compare him to the Scooby-Doo ride, also at Movie World, which is surprisingly exhilarating. You know, you get him, you think this is going to be something that...
for children, perhaps.
For children. You know, this is, you know, I've been there, done that with many coaches before. Adam O'Brien doesn't scare me, and by golly, it does. It puts the fear of God into you just for a few moments. You're in a very small car. Do you think this can't... But the talk...
It's all talk.
Oh, yeah.
We're just like us. All talk. All talk. Now, let's start off with the news because something very big's happened, Nagy. Something that we, you know, I think we forecasted on the show
years
about
ago.
50 times over the last 3 years. And that news is Stephen Kearney has been given the arse by the New Zealand Warriors. Their CEO came out, I don't know, sometime in the last 3 days, and I don't know what he said. I don't know why he said it. I don't know why they did it, but they did it.
I think he said
the madmen finally did it.
He said, "I'm sorry, this went through the wash, but I'm here to say Stephen Kearney, sorry, I haven't worn these pants since last October."
He doesn't wash much often.
It was amazing. It was very strange to say to say now. Stephen Kearney is sacked because they came obviously over to Australia. Was that everyone was thanking them just to be here, which was nice,
and they were all in it together, and it was we're a family, we're the Warriors family.
Yeah.
And you know, a very strange time to make this decision by the Warriors CEO,
having that remarkable win against the Dragons, where they nearly made no mistakes whatsoever and completed almost at 100%. And everyone was like, "What have we done here? What have we created with all this goodwill? Are they going to win the comp? Will this be the fairy tale story of New Zealand finally winning the comp on this, being ripped from their homes? And is this going to be the year? But it wasn't.
It wasn't, and it never has been. There's always been a false dawn at the Warriors. I remember 2 years ago they came back with their new strength and conditioning coach, Alex Corvo, and everyone, oh my God, the Warriors are going to win the comp. They look so fit. I think they, up until round 7, were in the top 4 and then end up finishing 9th or some stupid result. Again, Stephen Kearney at the helm there.
He's done one good coaching tenure, and that was in New Zealand. That was
did.
For for the New Zealand national side.
And I believe he won the Four Nations with the New Zealand national side and one other wee tournament which escapes me.
Because
May
he
have been
also-
the Anzac Test.
He also had Kieran Foran playing career best football at that time. And we that could have possibly been the reason that the New Zealand side won, rather than Stephen Kearney's coaching. However, didn't do too well at Parramatta, I remember.
No, did horribly.
Did horribly at Parramatta, but the Warriors thought, that looks like our kind of guy.
He's our guy.
Why don't you bring him over?
Yeah.
Come across the pond. Is that what we say, the pond?
I think it's called the ditch.
Come
The
the
ditch,
ditch.
yeah.
Yeah, it was a bit
Yeah.
more choppy than a pond.
Because when obviously when you combine Australia and New Zealand, what do you think of?
Yeah.
The Anzacs?
Yes.
The diggers.
The diggers.
So it's the ditch.
They've dug it.
They've dug
Filled
the
it with-
ditch,
filled
filled
it
it with water to keep our two beautiful countries divided so that we may fight
Yes.
together.
Is it you don't need a passport to go to New Zealand?
I don't know. I've just tied
Is
my
it
brain
that?
in a knot.
You don't use your passport?
No, you do need it.
You do need it.
I actually heard this the other day. I should probably turn this on if I'm talking. But
Yeah.
the other day I was talking about this, and apparently back in the day, you didn't need a passport to go between the two countries.
Yes.
But then someone went into New Zealand, flew to Australia without a passport, and assassinated. Now I'm going to say like a Czechoslovakian politician.
Okay,
Maybe
yeah.
Tom can Google it for us.
course.
but
Yeah, we'll
there
do
was an
that.
assassination basically in Australia by someone who travelled here without a passport from New Zealand.
Fascinating.
That's what did it.
So you don't really hear of many assassinations
Anymore.
in Oceania.
Yeah, really,
In
no.
the entire continent of Oceania. You don't hear
No.
any. You have the odd coup, like that Fijian coup with
George Spate.
George Spate, our
Yeah.
dear friend of the show, Cade McGregor's
Kate
uncle.
Hines, yeah.
His uncle, I believe.
Kate Hines, that was 2000,
So you've
yeah.
got your coup in Fiji. You've
Yeah.
got...
You've got what else? There's a few.
There was the civil unrest in East Timor, of
Sure,
course, where
sure.
Governor General Peter Cosgrove
Yeah.
stepped in as he was then Major General of the Australian forces.
Yeah.
But you don't get many assassinations. Like I
No.
said, the odd coup, the odd civil unrest, but not
generally
many
a
assassinations.
pretty internationally friendly area down
Yeah.
here.
Unless, of course, you count the
Fu-
disappearance of Harold Holt.
I thought you were going to say
By
it.
the,
because the assassination of Stephen Kearney's career, which we're conducting right now.
That was no assassination. This is a mercy killing. This was an absolute mercy killing. He's
Yeah.
just inspired such mediocrity. I think
Yeah.
I was reading today. I think I saw his winning record across Parramatta and the Warriors is between 35 and 42%. Now that's not great.
No, that's Nathan Brown
Arguably better
numbers.
than Nathan. Yeah, Nathan Brown numbers. And look, Nathan Brown also got the boot. So how does that line up to you, Nagy?
Well, there's lots of the teams go through dibs and flows. Dibs and
I believe it's ebbs and flows.
ebbs and dibs and flows.
No,
Ebbs. They go through ebbs and dips.
dips and flows.
Dips and flows.
Yeah, there we go.
And ebbs as well. Dips and ebbs.
Dips and ebbs.
Ups and downs. Superman roller coaster. And there's usually reasons behind it. There's sometimes, they have, there's been a rebuild or there was a marquee player that's walked out on them or the club's being crippled financially. All those three things that happen to the Newcastle Knights. But then there's sometimes when there's nothing wrong with the club. The club's just performing as well as it ever can. And then the expectation, you might say, is a little bit higher. And I believe that might have happened to the New Zealand Warriors.
Well, I think that's the case. People often expect a lot of the Warriors, and they suck.
They have an entire country over there.
They've got an entire country to fulfill one rugby league team, and they can't get that right.
They can't get it right.
What the hell's Jacinda Ardern doing over there?
She's not helping.
She needs to step in. She's not helping. She's not doing anything. As far as I know, she's free.
Yeah.
She's doing all right.
Maybe she could step in as interim coach. But
I'll tell you what, if she stepped in as interim coach, I would say they'd be pushing for the premiership.
Absolutely.
She's a genius, Jacinda. I don't want to hear a word against her.
She can steer
But
it
where's
out.
she been this whole time? She needs to comment on
this is her
McKerney.
side.
Yeah.
The ones-
This happened under her watch. Under her, she's looking over the country. She's trying to decide what's best for the people of New Zealand.
Who's taken over from Stephen Kearney, Liam?
Jacinda.
It's one of our favourite players that we
Toddy
mentioned.
Payton.
Toddy Payton.
The big mon. The ultimate ball-playing front rower.
Yeah, he's not a huge man. He's sort of a stockier prop.
He's a stockier
From
prop.
the Danny Nutley family, I believe. Yeah.
Absolutely. And never really hit the line hard. He was one of those early proponents of
The move and shake.
bit of move and shake, bit of footwork, bit of early ball, bit of late ball.
Some players, like to listen to a bit of music before they run out. He listened to music while he was playing and just kept the
shimmying
moves
and
going.
shaking.
Yeah.
And you should have seen him at Balmain Leagues after the 05 Grand Final.
Still moving.
It was like watching Footloose. The man could dance. My God, it was unbelievable.
Mr. Bacon himself. So Toddy Payton, let's see what he does. But it's always a bit...
Probably
it's-
not much.
It's never really a sign of faith when they say that he will be coming in as the interim coach. Because it's sort of like the clock's ticking for you as well. Now, I don't know how coaching staff works. I'm not a coach, Liam.
Nor am I.
So, but I assume...
Can't stress that strongly enough.
I assume you come in with your coaching staff that you have chosen. So if you were an assistant coach and then you became the head coach, and then another head coach goes, actually, I'm going to come in now. I will be sitting in Daddy's chair.
Do you then go back? Do you drop back to assistant?
Well, that's the thing. It's like who's hiring you? Are you part of the coaching staff under the head coach, or are you part of the club's coaching staff?
I don't know, Nagy. I can't say I've ever looked into it. We'll get Carol on the phone. On the fax. She'll fax Peter. Uncle Pete.
Uncle Pete.
Uncle Pete Volandy.
Slippery Pete.
Slippery Pete. We'll get it sorted for you, Jazz. We'll get it sorted for you. Next in the news, just some big hits. We figured why not? There's nothing better to talk newsworthy about than some big bloody hits.
Let's introduce these hits with a bit of...
All right, now the first one here, just as we have, is Dallin Watney-Zelezniak. Now, he's one of the hardest return runners of the football, and he's just shown that he can rattle some bones in defence as well. Wasn't that just... I don't know, there's something about Matt Moylan. He just looks like he's a hunk, and I just want to put a shoulder into him. So I really enjoyed watching Dallin do this. You know, just smashing some dumb hunk.
He's like,
don't you hate hunks?
He's in the time where your back hits the ground before your legs. Oh my! It's like a car accident.
The whip, yes.
But you can't look away. It's just it's what happened to Matt Moylan.
I don't know.
For a while there, it seemed like he was going to be the next big thing.
I was just about to make a comparison between DWZ and BMW, but that's drawing a very long bow.
Yes.
But Matt Moylan, he was always the next best thing.
Played 3 Origins, I believe.
And they referred to him as, they were calling him the next Darren Lockyer, right up until his 27th birthday when he'd achieved nothing that Darren Lockyer had achieved.
How old is Matt Moylan? Can we find
He'd be
that
like
out?
29. I'm pretty sure he's 29.
I think he's 30.
He's either 29 or 30, and yet you still see people saying, "Oh, next Darren Lockyer."
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, he's the next Darren Lockyer.
Also,
yeah, of course.
Speaking of this,
he went to 5'8" and fullback.
This is something that we've spoken about once before. Is how old is 30 in today's game?
It's very confusing. In today's game, how old is 30 really? Because in the old days, 30 was kind of the end of your career because you're working. Working Monday to Friday, working 9 to 5. You're training Tuesday, Thursday nights. You're playing on Saturday. By the time you hit 30, you are exhausted.
He's 29. Matt Moylan is 29, so on the cusp of 30. But there seems to be different types of 30, and it might be only from the perspective of your team. Mitchell Pearce, our fearless leader himself, 31, I believe. 31.
Years ahead of him.
Now, there's talk of, this has to be our year because Mitchell Pearce is getting older. I know Anthony Hickling's been saying that for years.
Anthony Hickling, good friend of the show.
Good friend of the show, but he keeps saying, Mitchell Pearce is going to be another year older, another year slower. But, we've got Cameron Smith running out there at 37. 37 years old, Mr. Speaker. So 31, it seems like you're just a mere child compared to 37.
It's a youthful new look for Pearce.
Yeah, and then you've got Billy Slater, retired at 35. Cooper Cronk also winning 2 premierships at the back end of his career. Obviously, these are the upper echelon of these players that continue to play on late in his career. But 30 used to be Andrew Johns, 31, I believe, and retired. Brad Fittler, I think, 32 or 33. Yeah. And that seemed like he was getting a bit long in the tooth.
You know what I think it is, Nag? If you go back in time, even just back to the 90s, you don't want to go too far back. Footy players are always kind of daggy. They weren't really cool, they weren't hip. But now you've got all these players, they've all got tattoos, they've got fancy hair, they dress in nice
Keeping him
clothes.
young, you think?
They look young.
The youth.
They all look youthful. I see these men and I'm like, oh, these damn kids, they're just running around. Then find out they're 2 weeks older than me.
Yeah.
And they're somehow still gorgeous, good looking, earning money and, having a good time.
All the rest.
Yeah.
There's a certain, I don't know. I'll use the Tigers as an example.
Great example.
You got Benji Marshall out there, 35 years old. And they said, look, Benji, you might not be back in this first grade side. You might have played your last game of first grade. We're going to bring in someone younger. Hit the road, Benji. See you in England. But who are we going to bring in? The young, youthful Josh Reynolds. 31 years old. I just don't know how old 30... He's another thing. Daly Cherry, DCE.
Yep.
He's 31, but he doesn't look a day over 27.
He hasn't aged. And I think that's got something to do with the
Sprightly.
the 10-year contract.
Yeah.
It's the fountain of youth. Once you sign on that dotted line, have you seen Tamalolo age?
Yeah, no, I haven't. Not a day.
It's a 10-year contract.
Yeah.
It's what we got to give to Kalen, and he'll look like this forever.
Hopefully so.
Very, very so. Oh, however, we missed this other one.
Sorry,
My goodness.
yeah.
Micah Seaville and James Tedesco. So 2 murders this weekend. 1 defensive murder, 1 offensive murder. We want to.
That's what I like too about this round. Here we go with the ball. James Tedesco.
Oh, my goodness.
I tell you what, he might be the best player in the world, but he ain't pretty no more.
You know what I'm loving about 2020? The fact that Michael Jennings and one of the Morris boys are pretty much the 2 best centres in the comp. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
I love the Morris brothers. I love everything they do. Seeing them play together it just brings joy to my heart. I would die for those boys.
I sort of wish that Origin, because Origin 2 would have been the weekend just gone if they kept the regular calendar.
They both would have made it.
Who would have been? Oh, I sort of wish, because I love talking Origin. I was like, who would have filled this side for New South Wales? Mm-hmm. But the Morris boys have to be there again.
They have to be there.
Michael Jennings knocking on the door. Mm-hmm. All these blokes are 31 years old.
Let's get Laurie back in the coaching box.
Morris boys are 34, I think. But we can just bring Laurie Daly back and say, look, your 2014 side, it's actually coming pretty good.
I'll tell you what, half of Laurie's 15 to 17 side are still playing for the Sharks, so we can get them going.
They're ready
just
to go.
Bring back Luke Lewis as well. Sharks have got half of Laurie's team.
They're wearing blue.
Yeah.
Just bring Laurie in. Mm-hmm. I'm sorry, John Morris, but he was always just keeping the fire burning, waiting for Flanagan's return anyway. So Mitchell Pearce is actually quite a young fella the end,
and he's got plenty of time. Look, let's.
Sorry, I forgot about this hit on the big hit on Tavita Pangar Jr.
The only thing Tavita Pangar Jr. did that night.
It's
God, wasn't he terrible?
Jesus.
It's a real shame. I had my sister's boyfriend there watching with us, and he's a Broncos
not a shame.
fan.
He's a lovely man.
He's a lovely fella.
Yeah.
It was a shame for him though, because he loves his Broncos, and to see him go through what we as Knights fans went through a few years ago, I could empathise, and I felt the pain radiating out of him. Radiating out of him.
You see, the first thing I did on Friday morning, hungover as a dog, was to contact.
You sent a letter bomb to Anthony Seibold, didn't you?
2 good friends. That's a bit of Peter V'landys negotiating tactic right there, is a bomb under the table. It's more of a threat. He never has it. He just threatens it.
Well, look, how many times does the bomb under the table work?
Well,
I'll tell you, World War II did not end in 1944, so it didn't work that well.
That's when there actually was bomb under the table.
Yeah.
It's the threat of the bomb.
It was too thick a table.
Yeah, of course. Yeah,
really thick table.
Was that oak? Pine. It's good stuff. There's what really excited me on Friday morning was to message in a group message my 2 Broncos supporters in the way of Timothy Reitano and Seth Bowes, who have always been Broncos supporters.
Dear friends of the show.
And just give them constant shit to say, your team sucks. Sorry to break it to you. Other years we could say, we beat you, hooray. But then you sort of got to say, they've just had a bad game. We've just got them over one time. It's like, no, your team sucks. It's going to be a real test for the Broncos before we really push on, Liam. It's just because they're not only playing, they just lost to the Knights. Mm-hmm. We're coming second. We've actually, puffed our chests a little bit this year. But their next 3 games are the Titans, the Bulldogs, and the Warriors. Now, the only way they could play...
That's where they're testing premiership credentials.
The only way they could play lower teams is if they played themselves. They're playing the 2 teams below them and the 1 team above them.
Isn't it going to be an incredible time when the Broncos are the worst team in Queensland?
Well...
if not the country. Because growing up, the Broncos were... infallible.
Yeah.
They were just a juggernaut.
They're the richest club.
They're the richest club.
Yeah.
They had the best players. They had half the Queensland Origin team.
Yeah.
But what's happened to them in the last decade? I don't know.
Anthony Seibold.
No, it started before Anthony Seibold. Started with Paul Griffin. Started with Ivan Henjak.
The CEO.
The CEO, Paul White. Yeah. The rot set in.
Yeah.
What the hell's happened to Brisbane?
I don't know. Pull it down, start again.
Pull it down. That's it. They want to talk about a second Brisbane side.
The Bombers.
Forget the Bombers.
No.
We already have the second Brisbane side. We did it, and it worked, and it went great. And they were called the South Queensland Crushers. I think they went great. Trevor Gilmers.
Did it go great? Well,
Trevor Gilmeister.
They're a Gold Coast side, weren't they?
Well, they were based out of the Gold Coast, but South Queensland, that's Brisbane.
Well, I want to... this is my push. And Tim and Seth aren't... My 2 good mates aren't too happy about this. You see, I think the Brisbane team... need a successful team. There are over 1 million people live in Brisbane. They can't cheer for a side that's not winning. So I say you move the Brisbane Broncos out west. So
Okay,
there's people out there
What's
as well.
west of Brisbane, though?
Western Brisbane.
Oh, that's just Western Brisbane.
Just
like,
west-
What, Greater Western Brisbane? GWB.
I tell you what's west of Brisbane? Ipswich. So we've got
Right.
the Ipswich Broncos.
I believe there's a corridor.
Yeah, I'm sure there is.
There's a corridor
and a
of some
valley
sort.
and
Yeah.
everything else out there. I've never gone that far north. It's so you got the Western Brisbane Broncos basically covering Ipswich. I don't think
Yep.
Ipswich the entire team, but that's basically their their followers now. And then you got the Brisbane City Bombers.
Right, so you're suggesting a Westie team,
Bit of a coup.
and a City team,
Build another smaller stadium out there
boutique stadium, if you will,
for less followers. Yeah,
less
for
followers,
less supporters.
okay.
Yeah.
Now, tell me what you think about this. This is an idea that's just popped into my head, and I'd love to get your thoughts on it, Nate. What about?
Yeah.
Obviously, all the Queensland teams are terrible. They're all very bad.
At the moment, that's a very momentary assessment of them. But at the moment, is the only way we can assess them.
And at the moment, it's the only way we can assess them. And until they don't suck, I'm going to continue saying they suck. So what? I have this idea, Nagy, and it's a pretty good idea. I think
Hit me.
we combine the Queensland teams to have one Queensland team.
Yeah.
But then you
Is there enough talent? I don't know if
well,
there
now,
is.
I don't think it'd work because then you would have to combine the new.
You
There you
basically
go. You combine the New South Wales clubs into a New South Wales team. So you've got a Queensland and a New South Wales team.
You're still looking for
There
a
needs
5/8. Like, you combine those three teams.
We need to have some sort of interstate competition that we all love and have a good time with. And
Should we just cut them off?
Cut 'em off.
They're not letting us, like, the Anastasia Palaszczuk.
yeah,
It's one more time.
Give that another go.
isn't it Anastasia Palaszczuk?
Anna.
Palaszczuk?
It's Anna. Firstly, we'll cover that. Palaszczuk.
Palaszczuk.
The border's still shut. So either they're with us or against us. I say, just bring the Storm in, bring the Bombers in, the Titans, the Cowboys. Leave the Broncos if you like.
And then get Uncle Donny come over from the States, build a wall. There you go.
There, look, it's
He'll
fixed.
make Queensland pay for it too. Yeah. That'll work great. What else happened in the news, Nagy? Not much. Games got moved around. How do we feel about that? I think the NRL did a very good job when they had to relocate and rejig the Bulldogs game last week. They did a great job. Got on it very quickly. Again, Volandis. I like him. I really like him. He's doing great things for the game. He's getting ahead of the AFL.
Yeah.
He's winning. He's winning the battle against the AFL. And he's proving to be... He's Churchillian.
This is really the only
He's
way.
Churchillian.
You think the statue's going up?
He's a wartime leader.
Yes,
Around that, he's probably not very good. But during the war, during the time where we need him most, he's standing up.
This is the time.
And he's standing up for the game of rugby league.
Rugby league. Yeah.
And you don't see that.
He's got a gun in the drawer, a knife in his pocket, and a bomb under the table.
And he's got the bright red phone to go to the silos.
And he's ready. He's got his finger on the button. And that's
He's
why
got
we
the
love
launch
him.
codes. He's got the launch codes for the nukes.
Look at these fellas with targets on their heads. Now, the one thing I do like about the media, Liam, is that, and we, as I count myself as part of that media.
Clearly a very important cog in the media. They call it the fourth estate journalism, which is what we do, footy journalism.
Yes, exactly
Yes.
right. Now, Stephen Kearney, gone. Bang, where's that target going next?
Now, the target's got to be on Paul McGregor next because Paul McGregor did just the other day, and we covered it in the show, received the full support of the board.
Yeah.
Now, the only time a coach receives the full support of the board...
Well, they can't afford to sack him.
Exactly. Now, Mary McGregor's payout, I believe, is valued at $1 million per year, which I believe is why the club chose to not fire him.
Yes.
But I'm sure, look, as St. George fans and members, there's plenty of them. They're going around. They'll all chip in.
Yeah.
They're all happy. They've paid their memberships. They're very happy to keep their memberships going to the club.
Yeah.
To help keep the club afloat. So I'm sure if you got all the St. George fans said, look, just chip in an extra $50.
Let's get the
That's all. Just give us a pineapple.
Yeah.
Give us a pineapple, and we'll.
They've already shaved some money off the contracts anyway.
I was going to say Paul McGregor coaches like a pineapple.
So we've got the other two players on there. We've got John Morris.
Yep.
Now, I always felt like John Morris was just keeping the seat warm anyway.
Absolutely. They were just going to wait until Flano came back while John Morris was
Anyone
was in
else
there.
pops
Anyone.
up? Yeah.
Anyone.
But then you've got someone like Paul Green. Now, that's a more difficult task because he's not only a coach currently, but a premiership winning coach and a surprise grand finalist in 2017. Is that correct?
17 is correct, yeah, against the Melbourne Storm.
And no one saw that coming.
No.
But that definitely bought him a few years. So now
did.
he's had 2 years of less success.
Mm-hmm.
But do we still say, well, you know, he did that 2017? Do we hold on to the hopes?
Oh, God, no. No. He's old. He's stale. His footballing team's terrible. They didn't have Jason Taumalolo. They would have been kicked back to the QRL, the Q Cup, whatever they have up there. I don't know. Something they have up there that's different to the NRL.
Yes.
They would have been had their can kicked down the road.
There's not much. You go beyond Townsville.
Oh.
I tell you what, it's getting more and more
barren hellhole.
Less and less, really.
Wasteland up there.
I hear it's lovely though.
It's fantastic. It's a beautiful place.
Aesthetically, lovely.
Yeah.
We digress, Liam.
We have digressed.
Did we cover the Broncos game?
We haven't covered the Broncos game yet. Let's go. Let's do that. How about we do that? Let's do that. This is all. Yeah. Whoa, a week off and we're doing things different. This is fun.
It's just good to be with you.
Now, let's start with the Broncos game. Now, who do we have for Hats Off? Nagy. Now, we've got a bit of a left field selection here for Hats Off. Now, as some of our more astute listeners would have... we didn't see this one, but we did hear it.
Yeah, okay.
We heard it.
All right.
And what we heard, as Kalen Ponga was lining up for a kick at goal, was a very dear friend of the show, good listener of the show, Sean Lazenby.
Yes.
Who gave his opinion.
I've been saying Lazenby.
Lazenby. Sean, could you just message the show and let us know the correct... Is that actually Carlo as well?
Phonetically as well.
Yeah, Sean and Carlo, we need the correct...
No, Carlo said you said you've pronounced Carlo's name correctly.
But I've pronounced it 4 different times and I don't know which one was correct.
Well,
anyway, Sean, get back to us with the proper pronunciation of your name. But what Mr. Lazenby achieved was he basically said to the Brisbane Broncos what the whole world was thinking about the Brisbane Broncos.
Yes.
And what that statement, that powerful spewing forth the feelings was essentially...
on top of the mound.
He had 5 loaves. He had 2 fishes.
Yeah.
He fed the whole crowd.
With this one statement.
There was 270 people in the crowd. It didn't take much food.
Who sucks? Darius sucks.
Darius sucks. That's exactly it. And Mr. Lazenby, he let the whole world know.
Yeah.
He let the whole world know. And you know what? It was as clear as day. So Anthony, I think, got the message. Up in the coach's box. You know, it was clear as a bell. You could have heard it through the glass in the coach's box.
Yeah.
I'm sure Anthony got the message, but old Harvard Tony, I don't think it sunk in for Harvard Tony.
It was a wonderful moment, and look, he really not only spoke to Newcastle supporters as Darius was a player of Newcastle and walked out on the club, to find greener pastures where things were getting tough. But he went back to Brisbane as his Garden of Eden, his prosperity.
He was the prodigal son.
He was the prodigal son, and then Bennett's gone, and now he's left holding the baby, and also the baby's mother's no longer there.
You never hear of any other prodigal family members?
No,
like you ever heard of prodigal daughter, prodigal dad,
prodigal neighbour,
prodigal uncle?
Yeah.
Spent a few years in jail, came back on the outside cleaned up.
But he said what everyone's thinking. Both Broncos and Newcastle Knights supporters. Darius sucks because he's just not a very good player anymore. Probably should retire. He's taking up a large chunk of their salary cap. It's time to go, Darius.
So yeah, hats off, Mr. Lazenby. Now, more hats offs though. My God, Daniel Safidi.
Yeah.
Isn't that man just becoming the man, the mountain that we all knew he would be?
Yeah.
When we knew that he was the size of a mountain. But you know what I like about Daniel Safidi this year and Jacob
so
Safidi?
much to like.
They've finally aged. They don't look like babies anymore.
Yeah.
How old are they now? What, 20?
24.
24, and they've been playing first grade for 5 years.
For 5 years, yeah.
5 years, and only now have they gotten the baby. The baby face look gone.
It's almost like they've realised how big and strong they are.
And all it took was a good coach.
Well,
because they never got that from Nathan Brown.
You could possibly say Brown. That was, I think, I even took that quote from Brownie there for learning how big and strong they actually are. But they're mountains of men. They're obviously, but the way that Daniel Safidi, who in my opinion for this game in particular played much better than David Clemmer.
Oh, absolutely. No, he outpointed Clemmer for sure. I would probably go as far as to say that this may be the best game of Daniel Safidi's career.
It was definitely the best prop on the field, and to score a try, but just forcing his way over the line with let's count them 1, 2, 3 players, carries 3 over and makes it look easy with a fourth boot in there as well.
They just stopped.
Yeah,
they just stopped tackling him and he kept moving.
But
then look, the numbers reflect the enormous performance he put in. You've got your 1 try, ran for 217 metres, 99 post-contact metres, 6 tackle busts, 1 line break, 1 offload. And now, Daniel Safidi last year,
Yeah.
he made the Origin side.
He did.
But I think it would be fair to say he made the Origin side on the back of a few injuries, some unlucky suspensions, all of that
Tarek
stuff.
Sims, David Clemmer,
Sims,
both
David Clemmer.
unavailable, yeah.
So I think Daniel got a bit lucky to get his prop. To get that prop position in the New South Wales
He made the
Blues.
most of it when he got there. But
did, and-
he got his foot in the door through injury.
Exactly. But the form he's in this year, he'll make Origin, I reckon, on his own merits.
Yeah, absolutely.
He-
If
he
Origin
won't-
was now,
he
which
won't
it should
rely
be,
on an injury.
Yeah.
He will make it on his own merits.
Absolutely.
If he can continue this trajectory.
And it's perfect for him to make Origin because, you know, if he made Origin and we've got another one. We've got another Safidi waiting in the wings.
There you go. So he goes to Origin. We just put the other one in. You don't miss a beat.
The other person who I had as for hats off for this week that I took my hat off to was a player that's been a huge amount of scrutiny early on this season. And last season as well, who I remember, if I remember correctly, at home, filling at fullback last season, basically won the game for us against this very side, Brisbane. Mm-hmm. And that's Kurt Mann.
Oh, hasn't he been wonderful?
It was sensational. Like a bit of footage that we've got in front of my eyes here. We've got Kurt Mann just running a beautiful ball off Mitchell Pearce.
It was a great outline there that he ran off Pearce.
and then just setting up the next try as well.
But watch the way Pearce just holds and then throws the shot. Oh, it's beautiful. But yeah, man, there's not too many people who would have hit that line, hit that gap as well as Kurt Mann did. Audacious.
Yeah.
Racy.
Passionate.
Passionate. Fiery. Because some good numbers from Kurt as well for a playmaker.
Yes.
1 try assist, 2 tackle bust, 1 line break assist. So not only is he, running, which we always saw Kurt Mann will be a bit more of a running 5'8".
Yes.
He's starting to ball play as well, and he's starting to set up tries. He's starting to bring line breaks in. And there's a question coming up later on that I would love to discuss with you at greater lengths. But he's just been given a role by Adam O'Brien to play off Pearce, let Mitchell do his magic.
Yeah.
You just do some stuff around him. And he's doing that. And he's doing it very well. He's finally found his spot. Nathan Brown couldn't do it.
No.
Nathan Brown put him in every single spot except the number 6. Except maybe he did put him in the 6.
Put a little
I
bit at
don't
6,
know.
yeah, but put
Well,
him
how
on the
did that
wing,
go?
put him at fullback. We didn't get this kind of form from him.
That was Kurt Mann under Brownie.
It was.
Yeah.
But
and I'll tell you what, the further removed we get from Nathan Brown, the more I question Nathan Brown. I don't know. We'll need to ruminate on this a bit. We'll have we'll dedicate a whole episode to that.
We'll circle back.
We'll circle back. Now, But everyone played really well in this game, I thought. The Knights,
Look,
they could have put the foot on the throat a bit more. I thought, it was a good performance, not a great performance.
I think they what they didn't do in this game is build pressure. They didn't keep Brisbane back on their line again and again and again, force dropouts and then crack them because they were cracking them quite often. And I think that even while we saw Andrew McCulloch throw that pass out to Edric Lee in the attempt to get over for another try, with leading to Brisbane's only try. But gee, that winger, who's that? Is it Coates?
Xavier Coates.
Oates?
You've got Corey Oates and Xavier Coates.
Xavier Coates.
Yes.
Coates.
Coates.
Okay. He's huge.
Coatesy.
Look at the size of him.
He's a man. Look, that's one of the targets they've had for their high bombs.
Yeah.
The crossfield bomb, which is one of my favourite. I miss putting up a good crossfield bomb. Really love a crossfield bomb.
He only tried for them to get us, obviously, the one...
the intercept.
The intercept try.
But look at the chase on Jacob Saifidi. He's keeping up with Ponga. He's keeping up with Ponga.
They can run. The
Again,
Fijians can run.
They can run, by God. And boy, do they run.
So there wasn't the perfect game of the Newcastle Knights, but we definitely did enough. And coming out in the second half and scoring that try to Daniel Safidi really turned, it turned a game which could have been, a 7-point lead. It turned into a 13-point lead, and then suddenly that was much more comfortable.
Now, my only worry, Nate, we said that the Knights did enough to beat the Broncos.
Yeah.
There's a certain point of the season where the games that you have done enough to win in just aren't good enough.
Yeah.
Because you're
Find
for and against.
Yes.
So especially, we're hoping the Knights won't be in that 6th to 12th mishmash.
Yeah.
But if you're in between 6th and 12th there towards the end of the year, your points differential is huge.
Yeah.
It plays a huge part into where you're going, who you're playing against, whatever you're doing, what you eat for breakfast on that day. Your points differential is huge.
Yeah.
So it's games like these where the Knights really need to put the
foot on the throat.
Yeah, the foot, the throat. The foot and the throat.
Yeah.
That'd be a good name for a pub.
The foot on the throat.
The foot and the throat.
Foot and the throat. Just two separate entities.
Going down to the footy. Then, next week.
Because that's how you get there via the foot.
And you pour the beers down the throat.
Yeah.
It's perfect.
It is.
There you go. Not as good a pub as the Commonwealth Hotel, though.
Much better name, much more thought out. The community,
Yeah.
they've got it all there. It's
Yeah.
just, it's got a better feel.
It does. It makes
better
much more
vibe,
sense.
a better atmosphere than the
Yeah.
foot and the throat. Depends what night. The foot and the throat does a great raffle. That's all I'm saying. Comedy does a better raffle, but a different night.
Yeah.
I like to do my raffles on a Tuesday.
You got to, it's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
Yeah.
Raffle days. You get your timetable right.
Yeah.
You can be raffling all around Newcastle and the Hunter.
Which suburb do you reckon the foot and the throat? I reckon Maryville.
The foot and the throat.
Surely.
Oh yeah, Izzo.
Izzo? Okay.
Yeah.
Backstreet's Izzo?
Yeah. Something
Yeah.
real greasy.
Yeah.
Real
There was
greasy.
a pub, then went to a brothel, went back to a pub.
Yeah, back to a pub.
Yeah.
And then for a brief time was an undertaker's. The funeral director, sorry.
Yes.
Okay. Next week, Nagy. The Cowboys. Oh my God, they're terrible.
Yeah. Yeah. Speaking of shit sides. No, look, the
Speaking more
Cowboys.
specifically of shit Queensland sides.
The unfortunate thing with the Cowboys was their second half effort against the Tigers. It nearly pulled their pants down again. No, come on, the second half was fantastic. They scored
I
20
thought you were saying they were terrible.
No. They had 34 points scored against them in the first half.
And they did come back. I think
With 22 unanswered
I think the
points.
Tigers only put on 2 points in
2
that
points.
second half.
So they showed that they got plenty of heart, but
They're running downhill as well. So if they can maintain that momentum,
Yeah.
which they can't, I can promise you, then we could be in for a real game. But we're not.
Coach is under pressure. They don't have any halves. Is the problem? Michael
Morgan.
Michael Morgan isn't there. Hasn't been there for majority of the season.
Young Drinkwater's good, but he's young.
He's young.
He's young. You send those big... You know what? You put Dan Safidi on him and you say, you kill this small boy tonight and you'll receive all the riches that Newcastle has to offer.
Yeah.
Essentially, we put a bounty on...
Effectively,
on
yeah.
Lewis
An
Drinkwater.
on-field bounty.
An on-field bounty.
Look, it's
No, not off-field.
no.
Don't dare... Daniel Safidi, cannot stress this strongly enough.
You'll be
Do
charged.
not fight this boy off-field. Keep it on the field.
Yeah,
I won't say keep it clean.
Within the
because
rules.
bugger that.
No.
Outside the rules is fine.
No.
But again, it's not on the street.
That's right. It's going to be interesting to see can we continue this roll going. As we said before, 20 round season. We're 6 rounds in. We typically a 25 round season. So now every win is basically a win plus 20%.
It has much more meaning.
It does. Same as every loss.
Positively loaded. Is that what you say? No, positively geared.
Positively geared. Yeah.
I don't know. That's some people talk about houses.
Negatively geared.
Oh, is it?
Well, no, that's
Oh,
when
I
you're
don't- I
talking about
don't know the
taxes, and
difference,
that's when
yeah.
you're claiming your
Can you
tax
be
against.
positively geared?
Sure. In this sense, you can.
I'm glad. It's almost tax time. I'm glad we've covered this.
But, keeping this momentum going for the night. Looking forward for the next couple of games.
Mm-hmm.
Cowboys, we should get over. We have the better side. We are in better form.
They're on a 3-match losing streak as well.
Manly put up an amazing game against Canberra.
They were
My
fantastic.
God, did
but
they show
they're-
some fight. But they took out about 6 of their players.
That's it. They're going to have the Narrabeen under 12s running out by the time we get to Manly, which is going to be great.
It's a good
Again,
time.
a great opportunity for our forward pack to smash some kids.
It's a great. Brendan Elliott, a former Newcastle Knight, is going to go back to fullback probably against Tom Trbojevic. Definitely won't be there.
No. Those damn hamstrings. God damn them.
The Serbian thighs.
Call them the Serbian slicer.
Serbian slice. Yeah.
I'll tell you what. If you were to set up a Serbian team right now
Yes.
in the NRL, you'd have a couple of good strike players. You've got the Trbojevic brothers. You've got Nick Chotric.
Yeah.
And then that's
all you
three
need.
pretty good
That's
players.
3 pretty good
There
players.
you go. It's more good players than the Warriors have. It's more good players than the Cowboys have.
Yeah.
It's more good players than the Titans have.
Surely there's another Serbian player.
I
out
tell you
there.
what, you put the Serbian team in the Q Cup, they'd dominate. Absolutely dominate.
It's after the Cowboys lane. We've got Manly with none of the Serbians playing.
No.
Well, one of the Serbians of the two Serbian brothers, but beyond that we've got the Eels. So really, look, we seem to be going back into a lot tougher games, if you could say. So after the Eels, we have. The Rabbits.
the Rabs.
So who knows what we're going to get with the Rabbitohs? But this middle section is where we failed last year.
Yes.
And relying on the good form early or the good form last year in the middle was just not enough. So to beat the sides, which we might only play one time, is going to be really important. So the Cowboys, we can't get lackadaisical.
No, we can't.
Is that a word?
Yes. mispronounced, I believe.
Okay, yeah.
But yes, it is a word.
You understood what I meant.
I knew exactly what you were saying.
That's the key.
And that's all you need. That's all you need. Yeah.
You can't get laxed.
No, you can't get laxed. Nor can you get daisicled.
Daisicled.
Now, time for the sack. Liam, open your sack. We haven't got a sack noise. That's all
Let's
right.
do the news again. Because it's like the news from the people.
From the People's News, which is the most important news. Jousters, thank you again so very much for your responses. For your questions, rather. Wonderful questions, as they always are.
Prepare yourself for the responses.
Oh my God, I hope we're ready for this, Nagy. Glenn Urain asked, did Adam O'Brien throwing the water bottle in anger
Sorry, I hit the whistle.
in the coach's box disappoint you or get you pumped? Now we see when Craig Bellamy does these things, I never know what Storm fans are thinking. Are they happy? Are they upset? Do they like it? Do they say, is it too exuberant? Is it passionate? I don't know. What do
I
you...
saw it, Liam. I saw it, and I tell you what, got me bloody excited.
I loved it.
I loved it.
Because look, he spent 12 years under Bellamy.
Yeah.
The angriest man, maybe in the sporting world.
Let's look at just a brief look back on the Knights coaching stuff. So just before we had Nathan Brown,
Okay.
the man didn't emote.
No.
he got quiet. He looked disappointed a lot. He rarely smiled, but he didn't actually get angry at any
No.
point. Bit cheeky sometimes. Before that, obviously we had.
That lovable larrikin.
Before that, Rick Stone. Mm-hmm. Cool, calm and collected, maybe a little bit too much so. And then before that, Wayne Bennett never gave anything away to show that he was a little bit angry. And before that, I can't even remember, it was Rick Stone again. And then Brian Smith.
Danny Badiris, briefly.
Danny Badiris, all these people. We haven't seen anger in the coaching box in years.
No.
Probably not since Wolf. Who was
Christian Wolf. He's an angry man. He's a defence coach. He's got to be angry. He's gritty.
That's the only
Gritty.
time they had a sniff of anger. And they haven't seen it since. That was wonderful to see.
The anger is back.
Yes.
It's back. And you know, a city like Newcastle, a team like Newcastle, you need that anger.
We're pissed
Because
off.
they're the underdog. We're from a smaller city than the rest. They've all got their big markets and their huge TPAs. And, you know, they've got the old boys they can fall back on.
The
know.
lattes.
St. George, 11 in a row. Oh, that's a great thing for the club. Whatever.
50s. Yeah, back in the 50s.
Who cares about the 50s? We have every right to be pissed off at all times as Newcastle fans.
Yeah.
And seeing a coach who finally expresses that anger.
Understands the chip on the shoulder.
Understands the chip on the shoulder.
Yeah, no,
And he just wants to throw everywhere. That water bottle. Everyone outside of Newcastle the Hunter. He wanted to throw that at them.
I liked. I
loved it.
like him in the press conferences as well. He sort of seems a little bit surprised that things are going well. He seems like he's got the same feeling after I watched the game, where you sort of feel a little bit like, I don't know what, like the emotions have gone up, they've come down. You're really happy.
Again with the roller coasters.
Again with the roller coaster. But you know, he'll be asked questions in the press conference, and he's sort of like, yeah, look, that went really well. Like, you know, and you can see that he's gone through it with you. And I can tell you, it's from you know, being a supporter of a winning team. Once again, gee, it feels good.
Oh, fantastic, isn't it? Next question. K. William Williamson, dear friend of the Joust. K. William Wilson, apologies. Dear friend of the Joust. And, you know, famously there when we got that win over Canberra.
Yes.
Got to experience it with Kelly, which was just fantastic. No one I'd rather experience it with. Given twins are genetic.
You always need a friend that's a redhead. That's a little bit mental.
We're lucky we've got a few.
Just like Canberra with Horsburgh.
Oh,
you know, you always
the
need
red horse.
You need a real redhead getting around.
Remember when we had Steve Bluey Southern?
He didn't do anything.
No, but he was great at the Cowboys. He was great at the Cowboys.
Played 5 games for the Knights.
What other good blood nuts have we had at the Knights? Sean Rudder?
Yeah, Auburn, I reckon.
Well, if we're going there, Caleb Ponga had an Auburn haircut when he first came to the club. So.
I don't think that's genuine.
Actually, hang on. We've got these behind us.
Hang on.
Have you got it?
I'll look at
you
the
look at
01.
mine, I'll look at yours. Bill Peden was kind of a strawberry blonde.
Adam McDougall didn't have it for long enough to count.
That ball boy over your left shoulder,
Yeah.
I'll just highlight that.
Could be Brett Finch.
Could well be Brett.
This guy here.
He's got a bit of. And who have we got in here? No.
Clint Newton looks a bit. Like, I think
Glenn Grief?
I think it's the lights.
I think it's a light. Yeah. I think Glenn Grief was a red nut as well. So
We haven't had one that's really fiery though.
No.
That's really like, you know, the pale skin that you know the moon would burn him. That's what we really want to do.
But we never actually addressed Kelly's question. Now, Kelly's question says that, given twins are genetic, would you be okay with the Knights putting a preliminary contract in front of Daniel and/or Jacob's nether regions to lock in that DNA for the foreseeable future? Now, I think he's onto something.
It's got to be worth something.
Because as he says, twins are genetics, and
Yes.
we've got two.
Yes.
Now, if we have these two,
Yeah.
and they meet a lovely lady each, they settle
Sure.
down, they settle into, they want to have a family.
Of course.
Now, because they're twins, the likelihood of them having twins,
Yeah.
and we're not scientists.
No,
don't
no, we're not.
take
Or
this
doctors.
as don't take
Sorry,
this as gospel.
Were you guys unnerved by saying lock in that DNA? Because
Not at all.
I don't know, that kind of shivers down the spine. I reckon. Lock in the DNA. It
It's
sounds,
not a
the
term
DNA.
that gets used
sounds
a
like
lot.
we're going to clone them to make more front rowers.
No one's
Backups.
cloning.
No
No
one's
one's
a
cloning.
No.
We're not cloners.
Cloning is
nor doctors,
fraught with issues.
nor fishermen, nor
No.
kettles.
No.
We're
What
none
else?
of those.
Not candlestick makers,
No.
boilers, bakers. But what we are
Yeah.
Knights fans.
Yeah.
Through and through.
Absolutely.
And so what we want is more Safidis.
Yeah.
Because if you obviously, when they meet their wives and have their children, they're more likely to have twins.
Twins.
So you got all of a sudden 6 Safidis.
6 Safidis.
Imagine Safidis, father and sons, uncles and nephews, all together, all
Now,
playing.
they debuted at 19.
Yeah.
Now, if they had children right now, 19 years down the track, they're only 24, 35 years old. That doesn't work, does it?
No, not at all. Not at all. But I like where you're going
That's
with
10
it.
years.
I love when you're going with it.
45 years old, I'll still see them. I reckon they're still
They'll be
playing.
out there for sure.
Yeah, in
When you
some
get
capacity.
thrown into the NRL at 19 and play 3 losing seasons, getting your ass kicked every week, you build character.
Yeah.
And you build strength and resilience.
Twins can do it in half the
They're
time.
gonna be around
Yeah.
forever.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And again, we can get all 4 for the price of 2.
For the price of 2.
Because they're the twins who are the sons of the twins.
twins.
Yeah, yeah. So there we go. That's it. Yep. I think we're onto something there, Kelly. Excellent question.
Definitely
Let's go
thought-provoking.
with Jared Butler next. Jared, a good question. Thank you. Should the Knights throw a new contract at Kurt Mann for his recent performance? And with the recent performance of Andrew McCulloch as our replacement hooker, should the Knights look at keeping him for next season? Or should we look at upgrading Best and the Twin Towers? To Kurt Mann, I would say yes. When's he off contract?
I think this is his last year. I think we got him for 2.
We should get him for more.
Well, that's the question. Like, he's got. I think the Knights have been looking forwards for quite a while, with the likes of Phoenix Crossland now tiptoeing around
Texas,
in that,
of
and
course.
Texas Hoy.
So that's,
Now, can I just also say, just quickly, with the inclusion of Tex Hoy in the side, in the number 14, coming on basically in the last 12 to 15 minutes, which seems to be what he's doing, that is only possible in a side that's winning all the time.
Oh, absolutely.
Because that doesn't happen in a side that's losing.
Oh, Penrith are doing the very same thing with young Matt Burton. They haven't found a spot for him in the halves rotation.
No.
So they're giving him 10 to 12 minutes. Matt Burton, of course, famously missed 5 field goals against Newcastle. So very, very grateful
Good
to Matt.
footballer, though.
Great footballer.
Yeah,
Great
yeah.
footballer. Just can't kick a field goal to save his life.
No.
So I think Kurt Mann's an interesting one. He's playing well, yes.
Yes.
But we've got too many prospects coming through in that number 6 jersey.
Well, that's where do you focus, and who are you looking to re-sign? Obviously, Kalen Ponga was an expensive signature to get on a bit
it
of
was
contract.
cheap.
No,
It would have been a bargain at twice the price.
Relative,
Yeah.
But it's like, where do you look at the money? Where do you put it? Do we see another year for Kurt Mann at 5/8? I don't know. It's got. I think he's got a great opportunity now to continue this form and prove. Yes, he is the man. To partner Pierce.
The onus. The onus, Nagy, is on him.
Yeah.
The onus, yes. Oh, but the other part of the question, Andrew McCulloch, do we keep him next year? No, I don't think so. I think he's already going back to the Broncos. We've got Jaden Brayley.
We've got
return
Brayley
from
who's
injury.
80 minutes.
We've got Connor Watson who can also fill in there. And
Connor Watson's off contract as well.
ooh, gotta lock him up. Gotta tie Connor Watson up. Now, from Twitter, Glenn Witt. Will Tautau Moga ever get a run in first grade? Glenn Witt.
Maybe from the famous Witt rugby league family. Michael Witt. Stephen Witt as well.
No, there's a H in there. I know Michael Witt didn't have a H.
That's true.
Now,
They were brothers, weren't they?
good question from Glenn Witt. I don't know. I think
we
so.
look that up?
Will Tautau Moga ever...
Was Michael and Stephen Witt brothers?
Will Tautau Moga ever be seen in first grade again?
Look, the Knights have had pretty good luck with their recruiting over the last 4 years. When you look at players like another off contract, Herman SASA, the man, so nice.
They named him Herman.
They named him Herman. And we did pretty well with that. But at the other double name, man, and Tautau, not so good. We got a 1 out of 2 there. Both players from Brisbane. Glass Need, Tautau, he scored that try. He did play a couple of games last year, late, but he didn't do anything.
But that's it. I feel like the Knights have built up a bit of a theme over the last few seasons of purchasing not so great Brisbane centres.
Yeah.
Which we're currently going through with Gemmett.
Yeah.
Of course, Gamut Shibasaki, who actually had a bit of a revenge game on the Broncos. He played quite well. Called into the team late. I think he did quite well. But, I don't think Moga's going to get a run. They've got to release him. His knees are terrible.
We've
already got the centres the head out of him. What's that?
It's the final year of his contract this year.
There you go. Let him fade into obscurity. Sorry, Tao. No, he'll never fade into obscurity in our heart.
Slap a taxi driver.
He did?
Yeah.
But look, it was the Boxing Day races. We have all slapped taxi drivers on the Boxing Day races. Yeah. We'll forget about that.
We will.
Now, I like this question. Now, we said we were going to circle back to Kurt Mann at 5'8". Now, Mick Maher on Twitter again. Who would you have at 5'8" between current Kurt Mann and 2001 Sean Rudder?
Such an interesting prospect there.
I like it.
Look, Sean Rudder got us a grand final in that position. Good on him for doing it. But at the same time, everyone sort of knew that he just had to do a job that wasn't typical of a 5'8" because he had Andrew Johns there.
Exactly.
You know, it wasn't give the ball to Mr. Rudder. It was give the ball to the true rudder of the team.
Which seems to be the case with Kurt Mann.
Yes.
You know, very similar situation. They've got Mitchell Pearce.
It's true, yeah, Mitchell Pearce
Premiership winning halfback.
You do have games that he's shown there against Brisbane that he's like, you know.
I'm going to flip the script on its head entirely.
That we can't see what's written on the page.
No, because I'm making it up. Kurt Mann and Sean Rudder together.
Yeah.
In the halves.
Doing a vaudeville style show. The 5th and the 8th, they call it.
Please join us next week for our vaudeville podcast, the 5th and the 8th. It's going to be fantastic. Musical numbers like you would not believe. Musical numbers coming out the arse. Daniel Turner, what do we need to do to fix up our handling so Adam O'Brien doesn't have a heart attack? There has been a few little handling errors in and out of the game this year, and there seem to be, we were talking about before, you know, we couldn't build pressure on the Broncos. It seems to be in the case that we struggle and make errors when we're trying to build pressure.
Yes. Yeah.
And that, you know, I think, like Daniel says, is a very good point.
We haven't choked a team really out of the game.
Our completion rate is pretty high. I think it's up around 84, 85.
It's all right,
but it's when these errors are being made. They're being made in key defensive situations.
Brisbane gave us plenty of errors back to sort of make up for the errors that we gave them. So, look, it's one of those things that is a huge part of the game that we've got to improve, because I feel like even we're completing sets, but we're not getting those repeat sets.
Yes.
And that's where we need to...
That is where you build pressure. That is where you force repeat sets. And that is where you make the other team regret ever having met you.
Yeah.
They regret their very own birth.
We can probably squeeze in one last question really quickly. Or is that done?
No, I've got one more.
Last one.
No, that was the last one. Sorry, yes. Actually, no, here's another one. Where's Mason Lino from Dom Villiers?
Oh, who knows?
Where's Mason Lino?
He's hanging out with Tao Tao Moga.
Tao.
And Sean Rudder.
There you go. Well, they've all bought a pub together. I think they call it the foot and the throat.
Yeah, it's out at Maryville. Thank you for joining us this week on the G-House. It's been a pleasure to have you. We'll be back next week to discuss all things Newcastle Knights. If you like us, please like us on YouTube, SoundCloud,
Instagram,
Twitter,
Pipes,
all those social pipes. Apple, all
IBM,
the apples and pears.
Macintosh,
Macs,
Windows, 95.
You can get us on anything.
Remember Windows Me?
Millennium. No?
It never really took off. It was kind of like they launched it before XP, and it was a whole thing. You guys remember Windows Me?
It was Windows Millennium.
Yeah.
Millennium. It wasn't great.
No.
98 was still better.
98 was key.
Yeah.
Places I work at still run XP.
Which one was XP? When was that?
13 years ago. Probably closer to 20 now.
Simpler time.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us, Justice. We'll see you again next week.